Hello YouTube, Dave here again. Welcome back to my Through the Ages series on the Paladin class. Today we are taking a look at the Pathfinder 1st edition version of the Paladin class. So previously my last couple of videos were the 3.0 and 3.5 version of the Paladin class, which was kind of somewhat underwhelming. So we'll see what the Pathfinder version of the Paladin class has to offer here. So this is my Pocket Edition Pathfinder 1st Edition core rulebook, and the Paladin class information starts on page 60. So we're just going to go straight to that. The Paladin has the D10 hit dice that we've seen before, so that's normal. They still require a lawful good alignment, and they get 2 skill ranks plus their intelligence modifier per level. However, skill ranks is something that I should talk about in a separate video, but in Pathfinder, like the way that they handle things like cross-class skills is significantly better than the way that like 3rd edition or 3.5 D&D did it. So they do get fewer points, but you're less penalized if you invest those points into cross-class skills. Something, again, I'll talk about in a, it might be something to do in a future video comparing the evolution of the skill point system from the 3rd edition era line of RPG products. As far as weapon and armor proficiencies, they're proficient with all simple martial weapons, with all types of armor, and with shields except for tower shields. The Paladin has their aura of good, so just the level of the Paladin dictates how powerful of an aura they would leave if you use the Detect Good spell. Similar to like the fact that they have the Detect Evil ability, which again is still at will. Similar to the spell, the Paladin does get Smite Evil here in Pathfinder 1st Edition as well. So it's once per day a Paladin can call out the powers of good to aid her in her struggle against evil. As a swift action, the Paladin chooses one target within sight to smite. If the target is evil, the Paladin adds her charisma bonus, if any, to attack rolls, and adds her Paladin level to all damage rolls made against the target of her smite. If the target of the smite is, smite evil is an outsider with the evil subtype, an evil aligned dragon or undead creature, the bonus to damage on the first successful attack increases to 2 points of damage per level for the Paladin. Regardless of the target, Smite Evil attacks automatically bypass any damage reduction the creature might possess. In addition, while Smite Evil is in effect, the Paladin gains a deflection bonus equal to her charisma modifier to armor class against attacks made by the target of the smite. If the Paladin targets a creature that is not evil, the smite is wasted and has no effect. The Smite Evil effect remains until the target of the smite is dead, or the next time the Paladin rests and regains her uses of this ability. At 4th level and every 3 levels thereafter, the Paladin may smite evil 1 additional time per day, as indicated on the level progression table, to a maximum of 7 times per day at 19th level. So I think that's already automatically, it's so much better than the 3.5 version of the ability. First of all, the fact that I think in 3.5 they only get it up to 5 times per day when they reach their highest levels. So we do get a few extra uses of the ability, but again, it's just so much better here. Like, this is one of the things that Pathfinder 1st Edition really did a fantastic job of, was taking some underwhelming elements of 3.5, which is a fantastic system, but improves and makes them just better with their sheer amount of experience that Paizo had working with the 3rd edition game system for the years that they were running the Dungeon and Dragon magazines. So it's not even just the fact that you get to still do like the charisma bonus to hit and your level to damage, but against the things that you probably want to be smiting the most, like evil outsiders, evil dragons, and undead. Just undead in general, this is a big one. It doubles the amount of damage that your smite does, and you manage to get a bonus to your armor class against retaliatory strikes from that same creature until either it is defeated and destroyed, or you end up taking a rest. So I think that's just a really awesome evolution of the ability, and I'm already like really blown away. I haven't read through this prior to doing this video, so I'm probably going to be pleasantly surprised by a lot of these things. Anyway, moving on. They also get Divine Grace at second level. They gain a bonus equal to the Charisma bonus on all saving throws, which is what they had in third edition in 3.5, or at least in 3.5. Then they get their Lay on Hands. Beginning at second level, a paladin can heal wounds, her own or those of others, by touch. Each day, she can use this ability a number of times, equal to her half her paladin level plus her charisma modifier. With one use of the ability, a paladin can heal 1d6 hit points of damage for every 2 paladin levels she possesses. Using this ability is a standard action unless the paladin targets herself, in which case it is a swift action. Okay, that's pretty cool too. Despite the name of the ability, the paladin only needs 1 free hand to use the ability. Alternatively, a paladin can use this healing power to deal damage to undead creatures, dealing 1d6 points of damage for every 2 levels the paladin possesses. Using Lay on Hands in this way requires a successful melee touch attack and doesn't provoke an attack of opportunity. Undead do not receive a saving throw against this damage. So again, this is an ability that has also been improved. So Lay on Hands was something that you just had a pool of points in 3.5, and I want to say it was your level times your charisma modifier was the maximum amount of points that you could heal in a day. And you could split it up, but the fact that you just get, half your level plus your charisma modifier as the number of times that you can heal like 1d6 or 2d6, was it 2d6? Hold on. I have a really bad memory. Uh, yeah, 1D, use this ability 1d6 for every 2 levels. But the fact that you could do that multiple times per day, I think is just really, really cool. So again, another fantastic, just a minor tweak. And that's the thing, like they didn't need to do like a whole lot of like major changes. It's just little things. Like instead of having a set finite number of points that you can heal, you now have some randomness to it, but you have more uses of it per day. And that does become important here in a moment. Aura of Courage at third level, the paladin is immune to fear, magical or otherwise, and each ally within 10 feet gains a +4 morale bonus on saving throws against fear effects. This functions only while the paladin is conscious, not if she's unconscious or dead. Divine Health at third level, also the paladin is immune to all diseases, including supernatural and magical diseases, including mummy rot. Then they've got this ability called Mercy. So at third level and every 3 levels thereafter, a paladin can select 1 mercy. Each mercy adds an effect to the paladin's Lay on Hands ability. Whenever the paladin uses Lay on Hands to heal damage to 1 target, the target also receives the additional effects from all the mercies possessed by the paladin. A mercy can remove a condition caused by a curse, disease, or poison without curing the affliction. Such conditions return after 1 hour unless the mercy actually removes the affliction. So if you had a disease that gave you like ability damage or something like that, then you could heal potentially the ability damage, but if you didn't have the disease healing ability, then the disease would still be there and it would come back later. But that's still, again, kind of cool to have there. So at third level, the paladin can select from the following initial mercies. So they can remove the fatigue condition, shaken, or sicken condition. At level 6, they can add they can choose from removing the dazed condition, diseased condition, so it acts as remove disease. I'll talk about that in a moment. Using the paladin's level as the caster level, it can remove the staggered condition. At 9th level, the paladin can remove the cursed, exhausted, frightened, nauseated, and poisoned conditions. And at 12th level, the paladin can add the following mercies to the list that can be selected, which is blinded, deafened, paralyzed, and stunned. So again, these are just like passive things that can just automatically be cured or removed whenever you use your Lay on Hands ability. You don't have to spend extra points and forego healing to remove a condition or anything along those lines. You just get to do it. So like if the target doesn't suffer from any of those afflictions, then that's fine. You don't have to worry about it. But if they do, then again, this is just such a better way of doing it, especially making a better use of their remove disease ability. It's still a single target type of thing, but the fact that they can now do it multiple times per day if they really needed to, in addition to just regular healing and removing all kinds of other effects, I think that is a phenomenal way of taking care of the paladin's like abilities, and it makes something like remove disease turning it into a passive ability that's just connected to your lay on hands without any additional cost to your healing abilities or anything like that. I think that that's really, really awesome. So at the 4th level, the Paladin gains the ability to channel positive energy. This is similar to the Cleric. Using this ability consumes 2 uses of the Lay on Hands ability. A Paladin uses her level as effective Cleric level when channeling a positive energy. It's a charisma-based ability. So let's just see if we can find the Cleric here, because I'm not super familiar with what that does. Whoops. Don't want to go too far here. Okay, channel energy. So regardless of alignment, clerics can release a wave of energy by channeling their power of faith through their body. Okay, a good cleric or one who worships a good deity channels positive energy. You can choose to deal damage to undead creatures or to heal living creatures. Okay. Let's see. Channeling energy causes a burst that affects all creatures of one type, either undead or living, in a 30-foot radius centered on the cleric. The amount of damage dealt or healed is equal to 1d6 points of damage per, or plus 1d6 points of damage for every 2 cleric levels beyond first. So 2 d6 at 3rd level, 3d6 at 5th level, and so on. Okay. Creatures that take damage from this get a saving throw, DC equal to half the cleric's level, plus the cleric's wisdom modifier. Okay, creatures healed by this cannot exceed their maximum hit points. Okay, so that's actually, again, kind of neat. They can channel their divine energy for like a burst of healing. So it uses two of their lay on hands abilities for the day. But that's still a really cool, again, you can just do an area, a burst healing, or if you're fighting undead, damage dealing. So again, really, really cool stuff. They also gain spells. This is fairly standard for what the Paladin has, so let's see what they got here. So they get up to 4th level spells, which is the same as what they had in 3.5. They must have a charisma score. Oh, it's charisma. Okay, that is a big change as well. Because I think in 3.5 it was tied to their wisdom. It's like the cleric or the paladin and the ranger both had to have wisdom scores for their spell casting. So here they've actually tied it to their charisma, which is already an important attribute for the cleric. So that's really good. That is really, really good. And the caster level is equal to the paladin level -3, which is what we had sort of, I think, before. Oh, no, it's actually not. It's not, because I think it was half their level instead of their level -3. So it starts off a little worse, but it does get better than the half their level that we had before. So really, really cool stuff. So we've still got a few things to go through here. Divine Bond. Upon reaching 5th level, the Paladin forms a Divine Bond with her god. The bond can take one of 2 forms. The first type allows the Paladin to enhance her weapon as a standard action by calling upon the aid of a celestial spirit for 1 minute per Paladin level. When called, the spirit causes a held weapon to shed light as a torch. At 5th level, the spirit grants the weapon a +1 enhancement bonus. For every 3 levels beyond 5th, the weapon gains an additional +1 enhancement bonus to a maximum of +6. Okay, +6. These bonuses can be added to the weapon. Stacking the existing weapon bonuses to a maximum of +5. Or they can be used to add any of the following weapon properties. Okay, that's why it gets up to +6. So you can add axiomatic brilliant energy. Ooh, that's a good one. Defending disruption properties, flaming or flaming burst, holy, keen, merciful, and speed. So that, again, that's really, really cool to see there. So effectively, you can just add enhancements to your weapon without actually having to necessarily pay for them. It is limited in the amount of time that you get use for it. But like Brilliant Energy, at least in 3.5, it essentially made your weapon attacks like touch attacks. So they bypassed armor and most other defenses, and you only had your touch AC against it. So if it's the same in Pathfinder, that can be pretty nasty. It is a +4 modifier, so like it's a big one to put on there, but that is really, really cool. If a weapon bonded with a celestial spirit is destroyed, the paladin loses this ability for 30 days, or until she gains a level, whichever comes first. During the 30-day period, the paladin takes a -1 penalty on attack and weapon damage rolls. And then the second bond allows the paladin to gain the service of an unusually intelligent, strong, and loyal steed. So, okay, again, just some options there. So I'm not going to go through all like the paladin's mounts type of thing. It's same kind of thing. Like if the mount dies, then you end up like taking the same types of penalties for the same period of time or until you gain a level. But again, it's just really, really cool. The mount does gain, I guess, the Celestial template when you reach 11th level, which is, again, different than what we had before. But yeah, so you can either choose the mount or you can, shore up your weapons. So again, just some options. I think that's really, really cool. Aura of Resolve. At 8th level, a paladin is immune to charm spells and spell-like abilities. Each ally within 10 feet gains a +4 morale bonus on saving throws against charm. So, similar to the Fear, you can also make it so that the paladin can't be charmed, and it's harder to charm the paladin's allies. Just really cool stuff there. 14th level, a paladin's weapons are treated as good aligned for the purpose of overcoming damage reduction. Any attack made against an enemy within 10 feet of her is treated as good aligned for the purposes of overcoming DR. So not only does the paladin's weapons always count as good aligned, but anyone that's close to the paladin, like say a rogue that's trying to flank with a paladin for sneak attack, or just other fighter type of characters, the fact that their weapons can also automatically be treated as good is such a good thing, and no pun intended, but it's such a great thing to have because DR in like the 3.5 era is cool, but it's so overused that it becomes tiring to deal with at certain points. And DR/good, like that's one that usually gets added on to other things as well. And not everybody wants to dedicate like a +2 bonus on their weapon to the holy or things along those lines. So that's a really cool ability as well, and something that just takes away a few headaches. So I like that. At 17th level, they get Aura of Righteousness, so a paladin gains DR5/evil and immunity to compulsion spells and spell-like abilities, and each ally within 10 feet gains a +4 morale bonus on saving throws against compulsion effects. So things like suggestion or stuff along those lines, that could be, again, a big thing. Holy Champion. At 20th level, Paladin becomes a conduit of power for her god. Her DR increases to 10/evil. Whenever she uses Smite Evil and successfully strikes an evil outsider, the outsider is subject to a banishment. Using the Paladin level as the caster level, her weapon and holy symbol automatically count as objects that the subject hates. After the banishment effect and the damage from the attack is resolved, the smite immediately ends. In addition, whenever she channels positive energy or uses lay on hands to heal a creature, she heals the maximum possible amount. God damn, that is awesome. So yeah, that's just, again, really, and at like 20th level, you're reaching the end of your campaign, so it's not unreasonable to think that you're going to be fighting a lot of like really powerful evil outsiders. And again, that's just a really cool like addition to have to that. Code of conduct is probably similar to what we had before. Paladin must be lawful good and loses all features except proficiencies if she ever commits an evil act. Additionally, a paladin's code requires that she respect legitimate authority, act with honor, like not using poison, stuff like that, or cheating and things in games or contests. To help those in need, protect or provided they do not use the help for evil or chaotic ends, and must punish those who harm or threaten others. Associates. While she may adventure with good or neutral allies, a paladin avoids working with evil characters or with anyone who consistently offends her moral code. Under exceptional circumstances, a paladin can ally with evil creatures, but only to defeat what she believes to be a greater evil. A paladin should seek an atonement spell periodically during such an unusual alliance, and should end the alliance immediately should she feel it is doing more harm than good. A paladin may never accept Paladin may accept only henchmen, followers, or cohorts who are lawful good. And for ex-paladins, a paladin who ceases to be lawful good, who willfully commits evil, or who violates code of conduct, loses all paladin spells and class features, including the service of the paladin's mount, but not weapon, armor, shield proficiencies. She may not progress any further in levels as paladin. She regains her abilities and advancement potential if she atones for her violations. See the atonement spell description in chapter 10 as appropriate. So, my god, that is the paladin for Pathfinder First Edition, and I'm just so on board with this. The 3.5 Paladin was better than the 3.0 Paladin, but it was really underwhelming, and some of the major issues that I had with the class have definitely been addressed here. Like, the Paladin in Pathfinder just gets so much more, and you get choices, like you get customization that you can apply to a lot of like your major paladin abilities. You may not want to use a steed, for example, or a war horse, or have like a mounted dependency, because you may be going through into like a lot of dungeons or areas where a mount is not going to be beneficial, and you may end up not calling on it or leaving it behind. So the ability to have the option of customizing your own personal weapon is just a great choice to have. The Smite Evil. Oh my god, the Smite Evil is so much better. And it was not that Smite Evil was bad in 3.5. It was kind of bad in 3.0 because you only got it once per day. But the fact that it just gives you so much more bang for your buck. And like the fact that you can also, it remains in effect and provides protection to you against the target of the attack. So even if you miss the attack, you still get some sort of benefit from it, which I think is pretty awesome. And the fact that if you're attacking evil outsiders, evil dragons, or undead, you get double the amount of smite damage in there. That's fantastic. Like, that's just absolutely amazing. Their DR against evil, against non-evil attacks, or like needing an evil descriptor to overcome their DR is great. The fact that they get to add more effects to their aura, that they can not only be immune to certain things themselves, but grant their party members bonuses on saving throws against some pretty serious things like fear effects, the charm spells, or like any sort of compulsion spell. That's not a small thing. I think that's actually a really a great use of that ability. But the biggest one for me has to be their lay on hands. It's just so much better. It's just so much better than what we had before. Like, it's a little bit more limited in that you're potentially healing less, because you're always at the mercy of the die rolls. But just being able to add those mercies on there that are always going to be applied whenever you use lay on hands, like, that takes remove disease from once a week to several times per day. And it means that if a paladin goes into a location where there is this, disease or famine that's sort of going through and affecting people, or a plague I meant, then the paladin can actually work to curing that, and can actually like perform these acts that will help cement them as like these saviors and these, just these divine heroes. I think the class is just immensely better in every regard in Pathfinder First Edition. And this isn't an isolated case. Like, Pathfinder First Edition does have the benefit of seeing what people were happy with in 3.5 and seeing what people were kind of disappointed in with 3.5, or getting direct feedback on, what modifications or changes might be helpful to the system. But just the change to the Paladin class alone is just unbelievable, and they absolutely nailed it. Like, I played a Paladin 3.5 recently, and it was okay, but I would love to play a Paladin in Pathfinder First Edition. So, let me know in the comments below. Have any of you played a Pathfinder 1E Paladin? What were your thoughts on it? If you played a Pathfinder First Edition Paladin, could you ever go back to the 3.5 Paladin? I think I would be pretty hard-pressed to do that. I am currently running a 3.5 D&D campaign, but I'm going to be honest, I think once that wraps up, I do have a couple of Pathfinder First Edition adventure paths, and I kind of think that I would probably go with Pathfinder over 3.5 once I wrap up this particular campaign for a few other reasons. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let me know your thoughts on the Paladin class and Pathfinder 1st Edition in the comments below. Anyway, thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time when we take a look at the Dungeons & Dragons 4th Edition Paladin class. Anyway, thanks so much for your time. It means the world to me, and I will see you all in the next one. Until then, take care.